I would like to share with you also one of the ideas which we met here back in Australia, an idea of indigenous. So indigenous culture, it's like authentic culture back to the original Australia. And here is indigenous trail, which indicates a lot of like authentic plants and authentic stories about this very place. So we are right now like changed trail 1 into indigenous trail, which was prepared, I think, like a school project, but by one of the indigenous kids and teachers, of course. So you can see here like markers, so snakes, I think so, that they indicate. By the way, there are many snakes in these very places, so you should be careful and look in front of you every single time you come close to some grass. So I just don't want to make individual pictures of each of these, but I think that is kind of interesting, really kind of interesting stuff, which you can read here. So I will like make a little breaks during the time when I'm walking. So technically I'm walking around the camp, and around the camp there is this indigenous trail, which is pretty interesting. It reminds me something back in Arlonak, when you go around our park and our arboretum, as we always translate it, which is kind of tricky, of course. But once again, you can see here many trees, and I think it's kind of interesting to read about them, about that indigenous culture, which we never heard about before. Probably we had an idea that before Europeans came to this continent, there were some people, some nations who live here, but we did not even have an idea who they were, or what were their culture, what were their name, their language, and so on. But if you come here close, you can see and you can read about them much more. I don't see right now this very beautiful flower, lily, but lily. Sometimes it's very tricky to pronounce words in Australia because they sound different, and but that's beautiful. It's really beautiful that here the language sounds similar to what people really think about. It's very pretty that people here are kind of similar, maybe not similar, but really what we have back to Russia. So people like making jokes by themselves. They really can tell you what they think, and they're really natural. They live in the nature and they're really natural. That's what I really enjoy about them. And one more pretty nice thing about all these trails, and I think about all the natural experience, is that every single time you are walking somewhere you hear a lot of noises, a lot of small cracks, something happening with this nature. So it's alive. It's like 100% alive. A lot of birds, like tons of birds. So this is probably that indigenous students who made it up, who did their project, which I find pretty nice. And this is kind of an idea which you guys can probably start doing at your places. I know that we don't have so much plants and flowers year-round, but anyway we have something, as I call it, indigenous. Of course, if you look toward the dictionary, you can understand that indigenous is not just authentic. Indigenous, it's about the people and the culture who was original. But anyway, I think that you can start thinking at least about it, and I'm pretty sure that most of you are great researchers, that you are like extraordinary and wonderful idea generators, and you can do it perfectly well, and you can find something indigenous, maybe not in plants and woods, but somewhere else. But actually it's great to find, not to find, but to demonstrate the nature, which is once again pretty similar but different. I mean, similar that we have also a lot of beautiful trees, a lot of beautiful flowers, a lot of beautiful different types and variations, a lot of beautiful birds and animals, but we never speak about them so much like people do here in Australia. And in Australia it's normal. They are like a part of your life, because once again, and it's pretty funny, that the population of Australia is less than population of kangaroo. And that's a tricky thing, of course, about kangaroo.